streaming. Okay, audio. We are doing what? Because it doesn't. Okay, there we go. So we got that part. Okay. And then we need to find the link to the YouTube thing. Where do we find that at? Details. This is a test of a live stream. Public. Playlist. Cancel. Let's go here. Open. Let's go back to. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so not entirely sure. I don't even know if anybody's watching this. I'm not entirely sure how I find the link to the live video. All right, let's see if we can find it here. Okay, stream testing live. That looks like it right there. Okay, so get a shareable link. Okay, so that looks like that. Okay. All right, let's try that, see what we get. All right. So it looks like the YouTube is running. It looks like the Google Meet is up and running. Okay. So I'm just going to jump in here, guys. I'm hoping, let me start my recording. Okay, I'm just going to jump in here, guys. I hope that everyone can see what's going on, and I'll check back every so often to see what's happening here. It looks like to me, let's transition to this so you guys can see. Oh, that's not it. Transition back to what happened. Oh, I guess I know what happened. I'll transition to do that again. That's going to look weird for a second, but what I'm looking at is down here at the bottom, it shows that there's one person viewing, which is me. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, YouTube, same way. We've got 0 viewers, so that lets me know that no one is logged in yet. So guys in the Canon group, if you see this, if you're watching this, please do me a favor and let me know in the comments down here for this post, you know, that you can see what's going on and everything. I'm just trying to test out some new stuff here. So your input is super, super helpful for me here. And I'm just going to jump into this as though I were doing an actual tutorial, a tutorial thing here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys, walk you through sort of what my workflow is on an image. Now, I tether, and you know, we can have a conversation about tethering if you want to, but I think it's the greatest thing ever. I would never want to go back to not tethering, and I'll tell you the reason, and then I won't go into it any deeper unless you guys want to have a discussion about tethering. When I tether in my studio, I have a 55 or 60-inch screen on the wall or whatever, and the subject gets to see the images in real time. And what we do is we'll shoot, you know, 5 or 10 or 20 images or whatever, and then we'll sit down immediately with them, and they'll just give me a quick yes or no. And the question I ask them is this a picture of yourself that you ever want to see again? And they yes or no. And we do the first call that way. And then we pare it down again. So out of 202 shots for this session, we wound up with about 60 or so for me then to pull and edit from. And the reason I do that is because I firmly believe that clients are going to see things in their face and in their expression and stuff that will forever be invisible to us as photographers. So I don't want to waste my time editing pictures that my clients don't like. So I make sure that we only edit from a pool of images that they already selected. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So we'll start with this image right here. And this is the gorgeous Anna Grace. She is one of our high school brand models for this year, and she is a junior, and she helps us out a lot. So I would first start out with simply cropping this image down to where I would use it. And we're fortunate Anna doesn't have a lot of skin issues that need to be corrected. And so at this point, I'm going to edit directly into Adobe Lightroom. I do a combination of edits in Capture One. I do my initial stuff there. If I have sort of Photoshoppy stuff, I don't know how to describe it, but I know when I make the transition from Capture One into another piece of software, I know that I either need to use Photoshop or I need to use Lightroom. So for this particular one, we are going to use Lightroom, and as it's loading up here, I'll give you guys a quick rundown on sort of how I do a basic edit. And I apologize, this is going to be a lot slower than normal because I'm running video software and all that stuff on the same computer. So anyway, you can see I've already done some pics in here from this session, but we are going to pull this one in. And at this point, what I do, because I do masking, is I usually go over here and I change this presentation from color to monochrome. And I'll show you in just a second why that is important. And then simply zoom in on the face area. And then the first thing I do is I go to the masking tool, I create a new brush mask, and then let's get our brush up to big enough that we can start painting over the face. Now I'm going to show you, this is the reason I use the black and white view, and I'll show you here in just a second. I get about half of the face done, and then I'm going to pop back over and I'm going to convert it to color so you can see. Our skin, our faces have a lot of red color to them anyway, and this red is so difficult to see if you're using it on someone who has a red face. And I'll just pop back over here and show you why I do this. Again, this is incredibly slow because it's got so much going on. Pop this out again. Okay, so if we switch from monochrome to color, okay, then we go back to our mask. You can just barely see that you've painted on there. And for me, I need something with a little more visual feedback, so I put it on monochrome. It doesn't, this view here for monochrome and color doesn't affect your image at all, unless you export, obviously, but it's just showing you the image in monochrome versus color. So anyway, I use that, and then I paint, just like you see here, all over the face. And what we're doing here is we're creating a mask that we will then use to do the face pop edit. And the face pop edit is a combination of different techniques that I picked up from a variety of different YouTube how-to videos. I'm not going to try and link to those because there's just, this is a combination of several things. So anyway, once we get the face done about like this, then we need to come over here, and we're really only changing a few things here. We're going to change exposure by giving it a 0.25, and that is just to increase the brightness of the face just a tiny bit. This is before and this is after. This is before and this is after. It is just a tiny, tiny bit of adjustment. Don't go overboard on that. Then we're going to scroll down into the effects section of Lightroom, and for texture, we're going to raise that by 20. For clarity, we're going to raise that by 20, and for dehaze, we're going to raise that by 20. And now you can see some definite differences. I'm going to show you the before and the after, the before and the after. This makes the face just pop out a little bit. And now what we're going to do is create another brush mask. I'll reduce the size of my brush just a little bit. At this point, I go around the entire eye area, the eye, the eyelashes, the eyebrows, the entire eye socket. And then I do the same thing on the other side, going around, make sure we got all of that in our mask. Then I come here and I come down the nose, just like this. Make sure that we get all of the nose. I make that a little bit smaller. Make sure that we get all of the nose covered in our mask, and then I make it a little bit smaller and we go over the lips just a little bit here, just like that. And now we go back over to our effects panel and we're going to raise texture by 10 and we're going to raise clarity by 10, and we're not going to do dehaze. Again, we want to look at the before and the after, the before and the after. And then I do another brush mask, and this time I only select the inside of the eyes and a little bit of the eyelashes. Okay, inside of the eyes and a little bit of the eyelashes. And then I also do the mouth. And for her, this is a closed mouth. This is my eyes and mouth workflow, which is really very simple. If it was a smile, you would be able to see the teeth whitening and stuff. But we're definitely going to whiten the eyes, and we do that by going right over here to our whites and doing a +40. And then I pop right down here onto sharpness, and I do a +40. And we're done with this part of it. And so I want to show you again the before and the after, the before and the after, before and after. And now I'm going to pop back over here and I'm going to change our presentation back to color, and we'll zoom out on this. And this is pretty much it for the majority of the editing that we're going to do. Now, we will also go in and we will take the spot healing brush tool if we have any sort of minor imperfections. Anna's got really great skin, so we don't have to do a lot, but there's usually always, you know, something that we can do to make our clients look a little bit better. I am not a big fan of a ton of skin editing and stuff like that. I prefer my models to look natural. You know, and so I always tell them, you know, if it's something that's going to be on your face in 2 weeks, we leave it on there. Scars, marks, and tattoos, I typically don't take them off unless the client insists. Obviously, we would do that if they wanted to. But we just basically go in and do just a little bit of spot healing on, you know, minor blemishes and stuff like that. And so now we're basically done with this particular edit. Now, I will say this, and we'll check this. My wife mentioned something earlier about a different picture of Anna that I posted about stubble in the old armpit. And so armpit stubble is usually pretty easy to handle in Lightroom. You know, if you just box it out with the spot healing brush tool, you can usually get rid of that. So just a nudge, so we're not giving her an extra freckle. I personally think that is probably good enough for the majority of the armpit haters out there. I might go back in and do just a smidge of size increase on this edge. We'll just nah, I don't want to do that. I want to simple. We'll just do another spot healing. It's not going to impact that much. All right. So now that makes that look a little bit more natural. And then we will do the same thing over here. And we'll just, oops. And we will just isolate this armpit. And we'll grab the healing, spot healing brush tool once again. Arguably one of the most useful tools in the Lightroom arsenal. There we go. Good clean armpits. We've got her face popping just a little bit. This is it. This is it. I'm done with that. So I would go right back up here. Export with previous settings. And that is going to send this image back over to Capture One. And there it is. It's coming in now. Okay. Let me pop down here really quickly and check on our stats and see if we have any additional people in here. Still one person on the Google Meet. No viewers on the YouTube stream. So maybe I'll just do another. Obviously, we would export this image. I've got export recipes for various logo configurations, for watermarking, stuff like that. I'd probably put this one right down there, and then simply click export, and we're done. So let's see here. Let's do this one, because this one will require a little bit more editing than the other ones. And this is also something that I would do in Photoshop. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to resize this. I normally do aspect ratios of 4:5, just simply because 8:10 and 16:20 are the most popular print sizes, and that's just my favorite ratio, so I do that. So now we crop this image down. Obviously, we've got some crud over here because we sometimes your background is not big enough, and so I'm going to show you guys exactly how I would handle that in Photoshop. So we're going to edit this one in Adobe Photoshop. I really love Capture One. I mean, aside from the obviously useful things that we talked about earlier about giving the client an opportunity to see in real time, that the shoot is going well and that we got quote unquote good images. It's also really good for doing quick edits and stuff like that. I've talked to people in the past who were like, oh, I can't believe that you would let a client see an unedited image. Well, the good thing about Capture One is you can set profiles in there. So, my clients are seeing really close to what the final image is going to be. And you guys noticed in the previous image that we edited, the look of that picture didn't change from Capture One to the work that we did in Lightroom. It didn't change dramatically. Basically, all we were doing was just doing a little bit of touch up and tweaking on the skin texture and stuff like that. I'm going to close Lightroom. Give me just a few more resources on this, because this is running. I'm running two streams. I'm running a stream to YouTube, and I'm running the Google Meet thing, and then I'm maxing my computer's resources out here. So if you guys will just bear with me, it may take a little bit longer for Photoshop to load than it normally would. But I'll go back and show you guys really quickly on the image that we just edited and exported. This is the final. Well, this is the image that we started with, right? This is with the sort of generic edit profile applied in Capture One. And obviously, when we switch back, we can see we cleaned up the armpits and we did the face a little bit. But we're not talking about massive changes. And so that's it. So anyway, here we go. Good job. We're back into Photoshop. And we got to do a couple of things here, and it's going to take us 2 steps to do this. We got to get rid of this black seamless paper at the top, and we've got to clean up this edge over here. So just knowing from doing this, many times before, the black paper across the top is going to be the easiest. And I just take the Magic Wand tool and select that and hold down Shift and make sure that we've got all of it selected. And then what I do is go into Filter, down to, I'm sorry, it's not Filter, Select, Modify, and Expand. And I'm going to expand this about, we'll say 5 pixels just to see what we get. 5 pixels, that looks good. And then we are going to fill this with, we'll try just a regular generic content aware fill first and see what that does for us. Photoshop's really done a good job with their artificial intelligence stuff. So there we go. That part is done, and done. So then the only other thing we've got to do is we've got to clean up a little bit of shadow here. And then we've got to extend our background this way. So I use the lasso tool, select that stuff, and we'll try again to do content aware fill and see what it does. It might do great. Let's hope it does. The neural filters and just the stuff in the last year and a half or so with Photoshop has really gotten incredibly useful. Okay, so that's not too bad. So at this point, I would just swing in here. I would take the, not quite that big, Jason. I would take the rubber stamp tool, and I would swing up here and get me a sample area. And then I would just come in here and just kind of clean this up a little bit. Content aware fill and that kind of stuff is good until it's not good, and then you need something else. So we're going to clean up this just a little bit. I don't know if you can tell on your screen or not that there's a shadow that's much darker. The content aware fill filled that with a much darker shade of white, I guess. I almost said color. White is a color. And so we just need to clean that up a little bit. And I'll show you guys in a minute. It's probably an easier way to do this, but I chose that tool, so I'm committed to it. So at this point, I might want that to be, if I was shooting for a perfectly pure white background, I would definitely want to do some more work on this. If I were happy with less than a perfectly white background, I would probably just roll with what I've got right here. But I'll show you, for those of you who don't know, there's a super simple way to get all of this background to go completely 255, 255, 255, which is pure white. I'm going to duplicate my layer, Control J, and then I'm just going to go to the camera raw filter. And it'll probably take this a moment to load, which is fine. I'm just, while it's doing that, I'm going to pop down here and see. Still nobody on the YouTube and nobody on the Google Meet. You guys are, what's going on? Is everybody on Canon Rebel? Are they on vacation? Are they taking a nap? What are they doing here? Let me see. Yeah, I'm maxing this stuff out here. We gotta take a breath. Let's see here. Click on my profile. All right, we'll go back to that. So really and truly, if we look over here, right up here is where the color numbers will come in. We're really close on that. I mean, we are really close. So just a little bit of a bump in white is going to throw all of that. 255. Let's push a little bit more. There we are, 255. Can we bring that down a little bit? I don't like to push the whites any further than I have to. That's 2. So if we did 32 plus 32, that is probably going to be exactly what we need to get. I mean, there's just tiny places right there where it's not quite 255. I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that at this point. So we're going to call this edit in Photoshop. We're going to call this good. So we're just going to close that. We're going to save it. Yeah, we know all that. Once it's done, we're going to close this out. And then we're just going to pull it into Adobe Lightroom and do the same thing that we did with the previous picture. So we're going to close that up. We're going to zip back over here to Capture One. It's already there. Yeah, we can look at that really close to 255. Okay, I'm fine with that. We might do a little bit of tweaking in Lightroom. The only thing I don't like about Capture One is there's no way to directly open and edit that I can find. If you know something I don't know, let me know. But you have to make a duplicate file, which is not a huge problem. I mean, it eats up a little hard drive space, but it's not the end of the world. You can always delete them when you're done. And we'll pop into Lightroom, and I'll show you guys a quick edit on that as well. Sure what we got going on here. Okay. Why am I? Okay, whatever. Yep. Still one person in Google Meet. Still no people on YouTube. Okay, guys. Well, that's fine. Hop into Lightroom, add the photo, and here we are. Okay, so, and on a full-length picture, we're not going to have nearly as much editing as we did before. In fact, I'm just going to pop right in here with the spot healing tool and just grab a couple of things that need some attention. Get this a little smaller, right in there. That's really about all that we're going to do to that, because we're not, her skin looks fine. So now we do the same thing we did before. We switch this from color to monochrome just so we can see our masks. We go to our masking tool. We're going to use a new brush tool. Same drill as before. Make your brush big enough that you can cover some territory with it, and just go over this around and around until we got it done. And this face pop, is it necessarily necessary? No, probably not. But I think that it just adds a little bit more. I like for people to look at my images and think, wow, that's different, and I can't really put my finger on what it is or why I like it or why it pops or whatever. The thing about editing, in my opinion, is most of your edits should be transparent, if that makes sense. Most of your edits, people shouldn't be able to look at that and go, oh, well, I see that he, raised exposure on this area, or I see that he, did a gradient mask or something like that. That if you're editing, if someone can look at your picture and sort of know what you did in editing, you've probably done too much. So I know that's a trap that new editors often fall into, but really when it comes to portrait editing, less is definitely more, and I recommend that you walk away, give yourself, half a day, overnight, or whatever, and then come back and look at it and see if you want to make some adjustments. And almost always you're going to dial back what you did. So we're going to put this at plus, not 2.5, Jason, 0.25. We're raising exposure on her face 1/4 of a stop. Okay. And then we are coming down here into the effects, And we are doing the same thing. We're raising that one 20, we're raising that one 20, and we're raising that one 20. Then we're going back to our brush mask, excuse me, our brush mask. We are getting same thing we did before. We're just going to draw around the eyes, okay, all the way up, all of the eye. I like to get all of the eye socket, eyebrow, and everything, and then I like to get the nose, and then I like to dial down, and I like to get the mouth. And again, you know, this is just how I do it. There are as many editing styles as there are photographers. You know, is there necessarily a right way and a wrong way? We're adding 10 to texture and 10 to clarity, and then we're going back and we are making another brush mask, and this time we're only targeting the eyes and a little bit of the eyelashes. We're looking to boost the whites and add a little bit of sharpness just to make the lips and the eyes and eyelashes pop just a little bit more. So we're not doing anything, you know, overly dramatic here. I'll say this about eye editing. Be very careful, because one of the major pitfalls that I see, I'm going to say new photographers or new editors, but sometimes people that got a little season behind them. It's really easy to over edit eyes, is what I'm getting at. So I'm raising the white point on the eyes by 40, and then I'm coming down to detail on the eyes and the mouth and teeth if it was open mouth. And then I'm raising the sharpness also by 40. And we're done with this. We are ready to switch this back to color, and we go right over here to File and Export with Previous, and that should get us a new TIFF file in Capture One, and there we are. Okay, and then we go over to our Export Recipes, and basically all I would do with this is just to move this watermark up a little bit and maybe over a little bit right there, and then export one image, and it's done. And Capture One exports however many recipes you have selected. So I'll go back and show you guys that really quickly. This is obviously not a Capture One lesson, but it exports a JPEG without a watermark, okay, and then that is 300 pixels per inch, and then 100% resolution. So this is the image that I would upload for printing or whatever, and then it renders another. This one is watermarked with a black logo for obvious reasons, and this one is a 2048 pixels on the long edge. This is my Facebook or my social media export setting. So that's how I do that. And that really wraps up sort of, you know, how I do most of my editing. Obviously, get it right in camera, fine tune it in Capture One, and then put the final touches on either in Photoshop and or Lightroom. And that's how I do it. Thanks for watching this, guys. And again, this is just an impromptu thing. It's a test. I've got an SEO course, not really a course, I guess it is a course. I've got an SEO accountability group is what I'm calling it, that I'm launching next Tuesday, and we're going to dive into how to use some new technology and some tips and tricks on getting your website sort of beefed up for SEO for 2023. So if you need some information about that or whatever, drop me a line, send me a direct message, a private message or whatever, and I'm happy to send you the meeting info for that. So with that said, hey, I'm Jason. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.